A package in the mail, MSX games from Japan. Collecting without fail, those shoot 'em ups, that's the plan. He doesn't just collect them, he also codes them too. Join us and we'll go on electric adventures with you.
Hey YouTube, Electric Adventures here with my channel update for January 2022. The months keep on ticking by. A month where I was mostly on holidays. I spent a bit of time down at a holiday home that we're lucky to have, and a little bit of time here. There was a big lightning storm with heaps and heaps of rain. The water main in the street busted again, but further up the street, and once again in here, probably half of the garage. The floor ended up being covered in water while I was away, and the next door's driveway is the the sandy coloured gravel. So basically in here was basically full of sand. I had to move just about everything and clean underneath it, which, considering how bad my back is, took me quite a while, 3 days. But oh well, nice to have a spring clean. I haven't been able to start on my shelves behind there, because every time I've gone to the hardware store they haven't had the wood. Although I did go the other day, but not when I had the right car, and they actually did have it, so I might be able to get started on that soon. So I did buy the stain, which I of course haven't got near me at the moment. I've decided to go with a fairly dark colour, because the shelves on the other side are mostly dark coloured. And I'll gradually work my way around the room and replace the shelves and make them all the same colour, just to make it look a bit nicer. But the first section that will be changed will be the section directly behind the camera, which has my Nintendo stuff and currently my collection of those little Star Trek starships. I'll probably move those, but my intention is to move all of the Nintendo from around the room into one spot to there, and neaten it up, and then do the spot on the opposite side of the room where my MSX collection is, where I've run out of room. Now the Famicom is in that area as well, so that'll come out, get a bit of room, even up all the shelves and go a bit higher, and hopefully that'll allow me to have more room for my primary collection, which are my MSX titles. Now, other pickups. Now, first thing, this is actually only a week ago, or a bit over a week ago. A friend of mine pinged me and said, "Oh, Tony, do you still collect Laserdiscs?" And I said, "Oh, sometimes, depends what the titles are." I went and had a look, and they were in very good condition. Now these are all Japanese versions, so they're all in English, but they do generally tend to have Japanese subtitles. And not all of them are widescreen, so the subtitles do encroach on the video down the bottom, which is, you get used to it after a little while, but it probably would have been nice to have the widescreen, the full widescreen versions. But they're some of my favourite movies of all time, so I couldn't say no. So the first one is, pardon me, is none other than Back to the Future. And as you can see, the cover's in really good condition. The disc did have a bit of crap all over it, but that actually cleaned off, so no scratches or anything. And we actually watched this last night, and it works perfectly. So, and yeah, the subtitles on this one's the squarest aspect ratio of the ones we watched, and it's not too bad. It was a little high, and so I obviously don't watch much wide stuff on my projector, so that's the first one. I'm going to put that there. And the second one I got is Back to the Future 2, which we also watched last night, and probably would be my least favourite of the Back to the Future trilogy. It does, yes, it's got quite a few things that don't gel well with the universe, if you know what I mean. But it's watchable, but I've gotten through that, and we've only got through that, so tonight we can watch part 3. Obviously haven't watched it yet. This is a double disc set. So side 1 and 2 extended play, side 3 extended play. So it's actually got the extended. This is why it's 3 discs. It's actually got the extended edition on it. That'll be interesting. And it's got some theatrical trailers and things like that on as well. So I can really open this one, but and I haven't cleaned it yet. So rounds out the trilogy. Back to the Future 3. And also there was, and I haven't actually watched this movie for quite some time. I was actually going to watch this last night, but I couldn't quite convince the other family members, but I will work on them. They reckon they have seen it, so I thought that my youngest one mightn't have seen this movie, and it's none other than Gremlins. I quite haven't watched this for such a long time. Looks in good condition. Yeah, the Back to the Future disc was actually the one that had the dirtiest surface. But I say none of them seem to have scratches. And to round off that one is Gremlins 2, which I haven't seen for an even longer time. I've possibly only ever watched Gremlin 2 once. I don't think I have a copy of that on my old videotapes of things. And obviously this particular person had pretty good taste, because the last one of these is a nice double disc set of the Goonies. So very happy to have those. Oops, just move those now. Those discs are quite heavy. Right, back again, sorry for the minor cut. Need my props. So I have 2 sides of the room that I record videos on. The one here, where I do most of my console gameplays and some of my computer gameplays. And then I have the other side of the room where I have most of my retro computers. And I've been swapping an Elgato HD, just a plain Elgato HD, between the 2 sides of the room. And it's got a, I think it's micro USB, so it's the older small USB port with the squarer sides. And I do actually have a second one, but the connector's broken off inside the board. And my current one, because I'm switching it between sides, don't do it that often, and there is a bit of strain on it, it's getting a bit loose and dodgy itself. And I really wanted something so I could just have both sides plugged in and not worry about it. So I bid on 2 other Elgato units at the same time, which I probably shouldn't have done. And unfortunately, I won both of them. So the one I'll probably put into the computer on that side of the room, and is, I have made some videos in Spectravideo games, and we had stuttering video and some bad audio as the video progressed. I do believe that might actually be the graphics card in that machine, and the fact that the capture software had selected the graphics card instead of the CPU to accelerate things. But I think this one here, which is the Elgato 4K60 Pro, which is a PCI card mounted in that machine, may solve the problem. Oops, that was a bracket falling out, it's okay. So it is just not a USB interface one, it is just a PCI card. So I can plug that in, have it up there, and I've got an OSSC on that side of the room, do a bit of rewiring and get everything set up so I can just sit down and record videos. Because obviously, just like everybody else, it's very time poor, and my biggest, my hardest thing when I want to record a video is usually the setup. Whereas I should just be able to sit down and start playing games and turn a couple of things on, and away we go. Let's put those bits back in the box. So that was the first one I won. As an alternative to that, and this is the very latest Elgato one, it's the HD60S Plus. Now, I'm not sure how it goes with legacy stuff, so I'll have to try it out, and it is pretty much new in box. And it comes with an audio cable of some sort, chat link, so you can put it onto your PS4. So maybe, this being an extra one, maybe I will hook it up to my PS4. Not that I'm more about doing retro games, but you never know. So I'll just open this up. It is pretty much new in box. It's not sealed or anything, and it looks like it has been used. But this, unlike the older ones, uses a USB-C which is a much better connector, and also it can handle more power and more throughput. And then you just have your HDMI in and your HDMI out. So obviously it doesn't have the legacy video connectors, but I upscale everything to HDMI before I go into these devices. Anyway, sorted that problem ages ago. I don't have a OSSC on this side of the room, but most of the stuff over here, well, pretty much all the stuff I've got on this side of the room, I never really have a problem capturing it. So not a problem with those. And I do have an old legacy capture card for a couple of things that I can't capture with the Elgato on this side of the room. So once I finish this video, I'll probably plug that PCI card in over the other side of the room and just have a bit of a play with the computer capture. This would have been really useful. I've just finally finished. I might have mentioned this in my last monthly video. Just before Christmas, I got a very nice Atari ST pickup from a local friend of mine, and it had lots of games and lots of bits and pieces. It's taken me a little while to record all the bits and pieces, so it would have been nice to have had that for that. But that video will be coming out. I've just got to edit it now. I've captured all the footage. So that's all of the pickups. Now also, I was very lucky to, in the month of January, especially since COVID is now out in the wild down here, they've opened up the borders and let the people in, and of course COVID is making its rounds. We are very highly vaccinated, and we're doing okay. We've only, I think it's 6 people who have died since we opened up our borders. No younger people have died, only older people. Very sad about their loss, of course, because before we had our borders closed, the moat shut, so to speak, and we're completely COVID free, except for the occasional person who was allowed into anything and escaping out of hotel quarantine. We've had a few incidents like that. But as the Omicron has proved, closed borders doesn't keep Omicron back, and we still have one state in Australia that is still closed, Western Australia, and they still have an Omicron outbreak that seems to be getting bigger and bigger even though they're not open. And Tasmania, prior to COVID, was a very heavily tourism focused place, so there, I suppose, have been a lot of business suffering, but now of course we have to go through all this like everybody else is. But anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk about. There are another local collector in my town of pinball and arcade machines, and he's fairly new to the scene. He has gathered up quite a number of machines in a short period of time. Decided to have an invite-only event where he invited a few people around. And of course, we're all being very cautious with COVID and everything like that, and unfortunately it was very hot, and he's got all his machines set up, and it's very nice. He's got some very nice pinballs and some very nice arcade games. But unfortunately it was too hot, and I was a little uncertain about, there's too many people there I didn't know, and potentially of catching COVID, and I didn't want to catch COVID on my holidays, so I didn't stay very long. But he had some very nice machines, and hopefully when things calm down a little bit more, I'll get to go back and have another look. And also he's bought a lot of these like pinball machines fairly recently, so he's got a few that need a few things fixing on them and everything like that. But I did get to play most of them, and he has some really cool arcade games that I hadn't seen the real ones of for a while. He's got it all set up in separate rooms. Obviously needs an air conditioner at some stage when he can get a chance to do that. And he even had another room where he had a few racing games and stuff like that, which was really cool. So lots of variety. Really nice guy, so I appreciate being invited along with my other friends. So what I'll do is I'll do a little montage of the different machines that he had. I didn't take a picture of every machine because it was a little pokey and there were quite a few people there, but this is all of the pinballs and most of the arcade machines.
I didn't know. That's what I do, I go in waves.
Right, and as I said, I had lots of fun, and yeah, just obviously still love arcades and pinball, so really enjoy going along to events like that. Maybe the minor sound you can hear in the background is that Williams cocktail. I have tweaked the monitor a bit, it is now playable. It's still a little dark, so we'll have to do something about that future, but at least I can use it now, and it's not one on the short list for monitor fixes, which of course I have quite a few in this room. So next on to homebrew stuff. I have just been mucking around with 3D printed cartridge shells. Main driver is for the original Spectravideo because there is no source of cartridge shells. I have a design that I got somebody that I tried printing on my 3D printer, and it really had trouble with the bed and didn't print very well at all. My friend at work offered to print it using ABS, using his, I think it's a Volon or something like that printer, or Voron printer, and you can print using ABS, and it came out very well. Now this original design, which I got off somebody else's Spectravideo group, isn't perfect though. It has clips here to clip the cartridge together. They've immediately broken off, and there's nothing inside to hold the cartridge board unless you have the cartridge board mounted on these little posts here, but then even still it's not going to clamp very well on the thing. Unfortunately I've given my own original new one back to the guy who's doing the 3D printing so he can try and come up with a better mounting replica inside. The original cartridges actually had a big hole in the centre and one screw, and they also gripped along this edge quite well, so they hold the cartridges in quite well. So other than that, the outside is actually really nice, so we can achieve a good surface with ABS. And I mean, look, I'm probably only going to sell maximum 10 copies of a game that I write for the Spectravideo. I just really want to be able to produce some original cartridges for it because it was the machine I really started programming on, and I do make sure that all of my homebrew games do work on the original Spectravideo, and it'd just be nice to have a solution. I did like these circuit boards ages ago. They're wrong, they don't have any mounting things, so I'm going to redesign. I do have some original unused circuit boards though, so I'm going to duplicate those more closely, except using these electronic components, which allows you just to have a single ROM in different sizes. Also, as a test, he did a 3D print of a Coleco cartridge. This is in red. I think the black looks nicer, but it actually came up quite good. There's a little bit of a spread at the bottom. These screws are too big, but the very fact that I screwed them in with much zealous and no cracking and things happened means that ABS is a wonderful material, and it's got a really nice surface. It feels like and has the weight of an original cartridge. So I've put a PCB in there, one of the ones I had, obviously put the screws in, plugged it in, and it fits perfectly in the Coleco. So I at least need a solution for doing the prototype copies of my games. So every time I finish a game, I always make some prototypes myself and sign them and everything like that. So at the very least that will allow me to do that. Whether or not I produce my own Coleco titles from here in Australia, still haven't worked out yet. But some of the other systems, obviously like the Spectravideo and the MSX, definitely have plans to do that. Now, being on holidays and trying not to have too much computer time, because that's all I do at work anyway, I haven't done any more work on my website. I'm adding a shop to that, and that shop will start selling the older titles, so the stuff for the Spectravideo and some titles for the MSX, and then we'll see how that goes. But I assume it's at least going to take me another month or so. Now I have found a supplier of universal game cases, which I'll use for the titles I produce myself rather than printed cardboard boxes, because it's just easy to have those generically in stock and have the cover slips that you just slip in, because we're talking much lower quantities than other systems. And I suppose the final bit of news is Berserk has had another couple of rounds of testing. It's amazing how you notice something that you haven't noticed for ages, and we've picked up a couple of little quirks, especially with the shooting mechanic, and we've got it really close to the arcade now. I do very much thank my beta testers. They've done a lot of work. And about the only thing I've got to do now is just adjust the AI of the robots, so they follow you around just a little bit more. Other than that, most of the gameplay is actually reasonably well balanced and playing very similar to the arcade game, so I hope everybody will enjoy that. So there'll definitely be a final Berserk ROM in the next couple of weeks, and that'll be it. I'll make my prototypes, and then it'll be available from the ColecoVision store for Coleco, and we'll see what happens with the version for other systems. There's specific rights that have been obtained for that, for the ColecoVision, so I'm not going to muck around with it too much. I've got too many other games to get on with. And probably the next one I'll focus on is my EA 70s arcade classics, which has Lunar Rescue, Depth Charge, and Stunt Cycle. I've just actually got to finish Stunt Cycle off and then merge them with a menu into one title, and then I'll be moving on to Kangaroo. Alright, I hope everybody out there is well, staying clear of the nasty COVID, and having lots of time to play their games, either retro or new. I'm Electric Adventures, thanks to all my subscribers, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.